Thank you very much. I'm glad you guys are here. It's great to talk to actual people and to people out in the audience. My name is Deadra Stanton, and as I was listening to the previous speakers, I realized that I'm a little bit different of a niche. As Madeline Hunter once said, I provide what's called feeling tone, and I am used often to celebrate or to remind people that we are all different and we all have different camera pictures. We all look at life differently, and that's sort of how you become successful. I use a lot of personal examples, and I want to share one today of a lovely child that I had, my son Nathan, dear to my heart, because he was the worst child that was ever born in America. I had Rosemary's Baby, and I don't know how it happened because my first child was perfect. Honestly, she came out of the womb saying, "Hello, Mother, and I love you." And then out came Nathan. Now, my husband and I were very organized and structured people. We had Franklin planners. Now, I know there's some young people here, and you have no clue what a Franklin planner is. Google it. And we had Franklin planners, and we were organized, and my daughter Sarah was organized, and then Nathan got his first Franklin, and we would all sit down on Saturday night and Franklinize together for our week. And, you know, Sarah would go, "Well, I'd like to do 3 random acts of kindness, make my bed every morning, get all my spelling words right." And then we'd look at Nathan and say, "Nathan, what are your goals and objectives for the week?" "Yeah, man, I want to fart." And that is what I was dealing with. It got so bad as time went on. I remember one time Mark and I had a huge fight, and I mean, it was a classic. And he looked at me and he goes, "I'm leaving." And I said, "I will help you pack, but you're taking Nathan with you." And he goes, "No, I'm not." I said, "Oh, yes, you are." I said, "The person that walks out that door gets Nathan." We stayed together 20 more years. So anyway, Nathan is growing up, and he is about in 6th grade, and I didn't know what to do. I was an educator. I was a good mother. I knew how to raise children. So I saw at Mercy Hospital in Mason City, there was a class, How to Parent the Difficult Child. And I thought, well, I will go. I will learn. I will grow. I will be. I will be the mother that I'm supposed to be. So I went and took the class, and this lady is up there with charts and pictures and all of these artifacts. And she's saying things like, when your child comes home from school at night, sit down with them for 15 minutes and talk about their day. When you serve supper at night, use cloth napkins so they feel engaged in a selective world. And she's going on and on. Volunteer with your child. And I'm sitting there, and all these people are taking notes, and I'm looking around going, are you crazy? Doesn't anybody in here play sports? I mean, McDonald's is a highlight for us. And I remember I finally raised my hand. I said, "How do you get your kids to do this?" And she went, "Oh, I don't have children." I went, "Yeah." Well, one thing she said that I kind of latched onto was, she said, "You know, one of the best things you can do is quit expecting the child to come into your world. You go into their world." And I thought, Nathan played hockey. He loved hockey. We lived on a pond. I thought, I'm from Minnesota. Yeah, hockey's in our blood. So I said to Nate one night, and I'd seen him play hockey, medium at best. He didn't have the Minnesota blood in him, just half. He was watered out by Iowa. And so I remember, I put on the goalie gear, because I've seen him, you know, maybe one shot out of 30 got even close to the net. And I put on the goalie gear, and I sort of said to him, I said, "Hey, I'll play goalie for you, and you can practice taking some shots." And he looked at me in the strangest way I'd ever seen. His eyes glossed over, and he went, "Yeah, okay, Mom." So I got the gear all on, and he lined up a whole bunch of pucks and stood there, and for the first time in his life, shot those suckers off like a machine gun and hit every one right in my head or chest. So hockey was over. Then came spring. Nathan loved to rollerblade. I grew up with roller skates. Okay, there were 4 little wheels, and we had a key. Again, Google. And, but I thought, I can do this. So I went to Wayne's Ski and Sports, and I bought myself a pair of rollerblades. And I'm always trying model good health. I got the elbow pads, the little hand pads, got myself a good helmet, and I even got the little Lycra pants that had the hips, you know, on the side. And someone my size really should not add to their hips. But I thought I want to be safe. So we get outside, Nathan's on the front step, clipping on his rollerblades, and I come out with my rollerblade ensemble, and I look at Nate, and I said, hey, Nate, I'm going to go rollerblading with you. And he looks at me, and he goes, huh, no, and he takes off. And I figure, all right, I'll catch up with him, we'll bond. So I start rollerblading, and we get to, and it's not really that hard, and we get to a spot where there's like 4 steps, and Nathan just glides right down those steps, and I think, I can do that. He goes, well, you gotta go faster. So I go faster, I hit that top step. Bam, you know, and I smack my face on the cement. And I think I had a minor concussion because somewhere in the background, I heard this cackle, this kind of like, and off he went to get his father. Well, that fall, it was getting to be school time. And I was so worried, I thought to myself, what am I going to do? He's going to go to the same school I teach at. No one's going to sit with me at lunch. I'll be a piranha. And they'll know he's mine. We were thinking of changing my name, but so about the beginning of August, he comes to me and goes, hey, Mom, you take some of me and my friends to the Apple River? I thought, well, of course. Here's my shot. The Apple River in Wisconsin. I teach American literature. We can leisurely float down the river like Huckleberry Finn. And I know the works of Emerson and Thoreau. I can teach those kids about nature and the beauty of the world as we float down the river. And I'm for this. I go, you bet, I'll drive. So I get ready for that morning, and you know, it's a river, which is kind of dirty. So I didn't want to wear my good bathing suit. So I had this old green one, and it had a rip on the side, but honestly, people, you put duct tape, covers everything. So I slapped on some duct tape on that sucker, and I had a big hat that I used in the garden that had some dingle balls around the edge, but it tied real tight, so I knew I wasn't going to lose it. And then I had the white stuff for my nose and my shoulders, and I had a fanny pack with 2 things of water on each side, and then in the little pack was some laminated quotes from Emerson and Thoreau, so I could share them as we went down the river. And then I had my flip-flops on. So we get there, and I take off my shorts and top, and I come around the front of the car, and Nathan's friend, little Jimmy Chauvin, looks at me and goes, ah, Nate, come here now. And Nathan comes around, and he looks, and he goes, oh, jeez. And he looks at his little buddies, and he goes, run! And they ran up the hill. And I thought, no problem, I'll follow them. Well, people, if you've not been to the Apple River, it's not a little hill. It is Mount Everest. And so I am climbing up Mount Everest. I'm sweating. And what's behind me? A church group singing Kumbaya. And I lost a flip-flop. I get to the top. I can barely stand up. I can barely breathe. And I remember, up comes the first worker. And I go, I just need 1 inner tube. And he looks at me and he goes, oh boy. And he looks at the other worker that I refer to as slug number 2. He goes, hey, we got a big one here. Yeah, you think that's bad? Yeah, slug number 1 felt the same. And he says, bring down a big, I said, I just want an inner tube. He goes, ma'am, sorry, you'll blow it out. He looks at slug number 2 and goes, bring down a John Deere. And at that point, they rolled down a honkin' John Deere inner tube and rolled it over to the edge of the river. I put my butt into it, and my feet didn't touch the ground, and my hands didn't touch the ground. I was a beached whale. And the kid goes, hey, man, she's beached. And he comes out and takes his foot and kicks me out into the river. At which point I realized Huckleberry Finn was a lie. That river was going whirling and twirling. I didn't know you were supposed to keep blue jeans on. I was picking up sediment in areas I didn't even know existed. And I can't swim. I'm whirling and twirling. I'm going down. And suddenly it comes to this part in the river where it says, small dip. Well, that's like saying Niagara Falls is a little drop. Everybody's paddling to the sides and going down. I couldn't reach the water, and I went right over the top. I dropped 50, 60 feet, and I hit the bottom, and the water is just coming over me, and I'm drinking half that river, and I suddenly shoot out, and there's a whole bunch of fraternity brothers peeing in the river. And I go, stop that, stop that. And one of them chucks me a beer. So I get a little farther and I grab hold of the root of the tree. And suddenly I hear Nathan's voice. Hey, Mom. I said, come here, Nate. Come close to Mommy. Real close. And he paddles in, and my hand became like an eagle's talon. And I grabbed him, and I sucked him in, and I just went, I am going down this river, and then they beep. And he looks at me, and he goes, Mom, I don't get it. Why are you always trying to change the flow of the river? He said, you use your hands to paddle and your feet to, bounce off. And he said, and then you just go and enjoy the ride. And with that, he took off. And he was gone. At that point, well, I'm far enough away from home, I can tell you the truth. I chucked that beer. But I get down, I go down the river. We're getting home, driving everybody home. And he sits next to me. And he gets out and he says, right before, I dropped him off at home because I had a couple burns on my shoulder where the pus was coming out. And he looks at me and goes, hey, Mom, I want to say, thank you. That was like a Nobel acceptance prize. He goes, Mom, sometimes you just got to go with the flow and accept the fact there's going to be days that people pee in your river. And I suddenly stepped back, and I thought, maybe in our world, we're trying to make too many Huckleberry Finns become Tom Sawyer. And in any good workplace, any good personal relationships, we must keep our own camera picture focused. I can be used in a lot of ways. I have one speech and 1,000 speeches. But I like to remind people, take care of yourself, have value in yourself, and feel good about yourself. I'm happy to say Nathan is married, he has children, but he's still my skinny rabbit. Thank you very much.